teacher and fix the problem. And I said, absolutely not. You're the problem. Welcome to being an adult and having ownership. She's still not happy with me. She just got a B in the class. She had an A all the way to that, and she just got a B. Now, I'm a mean dad, I know, but she learned a valuable lesson. But that mental strain, we just try to avoid it at all costs. That's what she did. She tried to avoid it, and it got her in trouble. Now, mental models. This is fun. Inaccurate mental models, okay? Think of a dog. What kind of dog are you thinking of? German Shepherd. How about you? A lab. No dog? You know what a dog is? Welsh Corgi. See, I knew you had one in you.
Me?
Both of you.
Oh, lab.
Lab? Border Collie. Okay, let's see in the back. What are you guys thinking of? Thinking of getting out of here, aren't you? What are you thinking of? What's that? Pointer. Okay. So pretty much everybody's got a different idea of think of a dog, right? What are they thinking of, do you think? Obviously a dog. But why is the dog different?
That's familiar.
It's what you're familiar with. It's what you like. Somebody just said pointer. You win. I've got pointers. I love them. Okay? I love pointers because I love to hunt. I love the way pointers go out, and it's a blast for me to go out and have a great pointer that knows what to do. Other guys say, yeah, that's great. I like labs. I've got friends that two of my buddies actually like setters. One of them has English setters, one has Irish setters, and that's what they use. But all in all, it's what we're familiar with, what we really like and what we really think about, or we own. So what's important for me is if I understand that, if I want you to think of a mental model and it has to be specific, then I have to be specific with you and share with you what I want you to get out of it. I need to tell you, think of a black lab with one leg and a lopped off tail and, I don't know, make it up. One eye, I don't know. We call him, yeah, Lucky, I know. Okay, limited working memory. Ever notice how we can remember certain numbers, but once they get a little bit longer, it's tough to remember the whole number? So I'm going to give you a number, don't write it down. This will be easy for you, okay? 19410071776. Can somebody just tell me what I said?
194.
194, that's a good start.
Telephone.
All right, what if I said it like this? 1941 007 1776. Is that easier? Why? It's chunked, it's associable, you can, or sociable, that's a Bush word, I think. You can associate with it. There's something that's familiar to you with that. What's 1941 tell you? World War I. World War II, okay? A lot of people remember December. Okay? What's today's big event? Beaches Normandy?
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, excuse me, you're right.
Teton Dam.
Teton Dam, 1776, 1976. But there's things we correlate. Ever notice on your phone numbers how they do that? 334, Social Security, 324. Chunk them so they're easy to remember. How many of you know your wife's Social Security number or at least somebody else's Social Security number beside your own? See, it's just, and they chunk them out so we can remember that. Okay, limited attention resources. Again, we have the ability to decipher tons of information coming in. But at some point, we get system overload. And so we need to understand that as being a human limitation, because if we get too much coming at us, we're likely to forget something. And we need to understand those scenarios and those situations so we can stop it before it gets further along. Pollyanna. What's Pollyanna? Oh man, everything's going to be great. What are you guys worried about? It will all work out. Rose-colored glasses. You ever work with somebody like that? It's kind of fun for a while, but they're not realistic. They're not seeing everything that's going on. And then there's mindset. Anybody familiar with the Space Shuttle Challenger and Space Shuttle Columbia? Columbia is the most recent. So Columbia, what happened? Burned up on re-entry. Remember that? We had a teacher in there from Idaho, burned up on re-entry. Why? Lost a tile, right? We lost a tile, a thermal protective barrier on the outside of that. And here's the neat thing about that. If you go back and look it up and research it, you'll find out that when they first started launching that space shuttle, they recognized from day one that they were having problems with foam coming off that external fuel tank that it's attached to. So the space shuttle launches and it's going up, and every time it would do that, as it detached from that fuel tank, foam would fall and strike the space shuttle. And at first they looked at that and said, oh my gosh, you got a problem. Foam striking the space shuttle, and surely it has to have broken or damaged that thermal protective barrier out there. Got to have that barrier, because that is the last and only line of defense for re-entry. That's what keeps them from burning up. It's absolutely crucial. So boy, they're launching this thing up there, and every single time they launch it up, they send them out to make sure everything's okay, and voila, everything's been okay. No damaged tiles, and they're okay. So NASA did something that was absolutely unheard of, but they did it. Even after all the things they've done wrong in the past, NASA decided, well, geez, we're being a little bit overzealous with our safety beliefs on that. NASA forgot something that was pretty crucial. Back in 1969, they put man on the moon by following one simple rule, and that was you have to prove that it's safe before we'll do it. So if you want to put somebody outside, you have to prove that they can be safely outside and demonstrate how that's going to be done until everybody was satisfied that indeed it was safe. That held true with everything, up to and including we have to demonstrate that it's still safe for re-entry and the tiles aren't damaged. By doing what they did, they ensured the safety to that point, to that degree, of that tile functioning correctly. But on that particular launch, they changed their mind. They changed their mindset. They did a 180. And if you look in the details, you'll find out that they actually said, now you have to prove that it's unsafe before we'll do anything. They said it was, you have to prove it's safe before. Now on this one, they said you have to prove it's unsafe. And so they just sent them right back on in, and voila, lo and behold, guess what? That did have damaged tiles from the foam that fell and struck the barrier, the external fuel system. External, not fuel, but the thermal protective barrier. I'll catch up with my mind in a minute. So mindset, you got to be careful with that. Remind yourself that, and they always talk about it in that particular thing of being the gambler's dilemma. Like if you're playing roulette, you roll the P and you watch somebody do it, and the first 5 times they do it, it lands on red. Then on the 6th time, you're going to bet black because it has to be black, right? He says, no, it's still a 50-50 chance. There's still a 50-50 chance. Now I realize there's a couple green ones in there. One says 0, one says 00. Not that I ever played it or anything, but you know, there's that. But it's just, you need to understand that. So we've got to be careful with that. Who has difficulty seeing their own errors? Every single one of us. He does. How come everybody's pointing at you? Yeah, you. Not Terry. You're like, Dave? Okay. Limited perspective. Is everybody in here a native of Rexburg or Idaho? Is there anybody that's moved here from someplace out of state? Okay. Cool. Can you guys tell me what a jockey box is? You don't know what it is? Why not?
I guess it's local lingo.
It is. Yeah, you like fry sauce?
I know what that is.
Okay. Awesome. What's a borrow pit?
I know what it is, but I learned it when I got here.
Isn't it funny? Now I got to tell you a story on myself real quick. I went back to Washington, D.C. I was back there on official business, trying to be cool, I don't know, whatever I was doing. You've got the world's greatest dynamic food resources back there. Every kind of food in the world you could think of is in Washington, D.C. Guess where we went for lunch? McDonald's. So I walk into McDonald's, I've got some dignitaries with me, and I walk up and I order a Big Mac, and then I order fries, and I said, yeah, and I'd like 2 fry sauces. And she looked at me, what? 2 fry sauces. I know I got to pay extra for them. And she's like, mister, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, you don't know what fry sauce is? And my buddy behind me says, you dummy, she's not from Idaho. They don't know what that is. I felt really stupid. And then she says, well, what is it? And I said, well, you take ketchup and you take mayonnaise and some put pepper in it. And she's like, that is disgusting. That was kind of funny, but that was the same type of thing. I mean, it's that limited perspective. It's things that we all take for granted. It's common lingo. To me, a borrow pit is a borrow pit because people say, no, that's a ditch. I'm like, no, the ditch is on the other side of the fence. It's right next to the borrow pit, right? That's where the asparagus grows. Okay. All right. Who's susceptible to emotion? Every one of us, right? You bet. Some of us more than others and sometimes different emotions. And then focusing on a goal. Sometimes when we're doing crucial work, if we get so focused on it, there's a challenge with that. Man, we're going to do great on that. But if there's dangers or hazards going on all around us, we got our blinders on and we're not seeing it. And there's a lot of cases where people are hurt or injured because of that. So understanding that, sometimes we want somebody with that level of rigor and focus to do the job correctly. But in those instances, we may need somebody else standing by to make sure they don't get hurt. You know, you give some certain people a chance to go out there and count how many yellow lines there are in a 1 mile stretch on Highway 20, they're going to do it. They're not going to see the train track that they're going to cross when the train's coming through. So just silly things like that to understand. Now, last thing, pride. Hazardous attitudes. Don't insult my intelligence. I've been doing this job for 32 years. Don't you dare tell me how to do it, rookie. Is that fun to work with somebody like that when you know for sure there's a big problem? We need to have a moment where we respect those people, absolutely. Respect them. But don't get so caught up in pride that you're not willing to learn of something or at least evaluate what's being said to make sure that you're keeping people safe or keeping things from being damaged. The hero. Oh, you big wusses. I'll get it done. Guys do this all the time. I love it. I've seen women do it. But you shut down a job or you do something, whoa, hold on a minute, this isn't safe. I'll do it, and they jump in and now they're a victim. That's always fun. Trying to be a hero. Invulnerable. Anybody in here snow machine and high mark? I used to. Until my buddy told my wife. It triggered an avalanche and outran it. I don't even own a snow machine anymore. It happens. Fatalist. Oh, what's the use? This job sucks. These people are idiots. I hate this place. Why do I here? Is that fun to work with somebody like that? But have you ever worked with somebody like that? Oh, it's miserable. It just drains your energy, and that's just terrible. Bald tire, man. Oh, I got 60,000 miles on these babies. I haven't had a flat yet. I don't need to replace them. Don't work for me. Summit fever. Man, we're almost done. You guys have heard this story. When you go on a big trip or vacation with your family, you leave Rexburg, Rigby, Idaho Falls, travel to Florida, come back. Where are you going to get the car accident at? Rexburg, Idaho Falls, somewhere within about 20, 25 miles of home. Why? You get complacent, you let your guard down. Oh man, you get to familiar territory and go, we're home. And you just go back to normal habits. So you got to be careful. And then Pollyanna, nothing bad will ever happen to me. So I share all this with you. Human performance actually is a much more elaborate course. It can be. Human performance, actually when I started taking it, started getting into it, it turned out to be an 8-hour class that led to another 40-hour class and then another 40-hour class. In a lifelong effort to understand it and better get a knowledge of what people do and how to understand behaviors. So just based simply on what we've discussed today, understanding there are limitations, but understanding humans make mistakes and there are errors out there, what are some things that you can do to increase the likelihood that events are going to be minimized, increase the safety that goes on, eliminate such things as equipment damage, individuals getting hurt? What are some things you think?
Thinking outside the box.
Think outside the box. Okay? I love it.
Hire robots.
Hire robots. I can see a room full already. Just kidding. Yeah? You could do that. What else? Communication. Safety inspections. Physically going out there and inspecting, looking at things. If you're backing up heavy equipment, this is something that I deal with a lot with some of our trucking contractors. If you're backing heavy equipment, can you see everything behind you? Do you get out and look behind you? And in certain instances you don't need to, but if you're going into something, one of the areas I see this happen a lot is when they're going through a threshold and it goes from very bright into dark and there's a transition you can't see. What are some things to do to prevent that from happening, from hitting the building or somebody else, heaven forbid? Have a spotter there. Have somebody there, another set of eyes. How hard is that? Hey, will you watch this, make sure I'm going? And then make sure that if you're gonna do that, that they can see you. It's like when I go and I back a trailer in, and my wife's awesome. She knows she's on the side, and she's telling me, my sons, I'm like, how do you guys not get killed? They get right behind the truck. Come on, Dad! You know, they're back there, and I can't even see them. And I'm like, get out of here, you know? So absolutely, have a spotter. What else?
Watch out for each other.
Watch out for each other. We always adopt the old adage, be your brother's keeper. It's great. I love it, man. Organizations that adopt that, they're watching out for each other, keeping each other safe. But also, keep in mind, when you do that, if somebody tells you something, hey dude, that's not a very good idea. Don't get mad and tell them to shut up. Don't get mad and say, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. I've been doing this for 15 years. Take a minute to actually look at it and think, is he right or not? It might mean the difference of going home or not going home, okay? What else?
I think it's important with your mental to get up and walk it off for a second and come back to it.
Oh my heavens, I love it. Stress will kill you, right? But you gotta have a little bit of stress. Time pressure and stress, man, sometimes you do gotta take just a little brief walk. I'm not saying take a 20-minute break,